What does it really mean to be free? Are we just products of our past, or do we actually have the power to shape our own future? These are some of the biggest questions we can ask ourselves, right? And they were at the absolute heart of psychologist Rollo May's work. So let's dive into his fascinating perspective on what it means to be human.
Have you ever felt that? That feeling of being, well, disconnected from the world, from other people, maybe even from yourself? Kind of like you're just going through the motions? Well, if you have, you are definitely not alone. For Rollo May, this feeling wasn't just, a bad mood. It was one of the central problems of modern life. But here's the good part. He believed it was a condition we could understand and, even better, overcome.
At the very core of May's philosophy is this really powerful idea. He saw people as a paradox. We're not inherently good or bad. Instead, we're these complex beings capable of incredible good and also immense evil. And it's right there, in that inner conflict, that our individual stories really begin.
Okay, so remember that feeling of disconnection we were just talking about? May actually had a name for it, alienation, and he saw it as this huge, growing crisis in the modern world. Understanding what this is, well, that's the first step toward figuring out what to do about it. Now, when May talked about alienation, he wasn't just talking about feeling lonely. For him, it was a much deeper three-part problem. First, there's a separation from the natural world. Then, a breakdown in our relationships with other people. And, maybe most critically, a loss of connection with our own selves.
And here's what's so crucial to get. May didn't see alienation as just this static state you're in. He saw it as a downward spiral. It starts with that feeling of estrangement, right? But as that grows, we kind of start to tune out. We surrender bits of our own consciousness. And the really dangerous part? We forget we even have the power to choose. And just like that, our freedom starts to shrink.
But, and this is a big but, May was no pessimist. He absolutely believed there was a powerful way to reverse that spiral. And it all boils down to one single crucial turning point, reclaiming our power of free choice.
So to really wrap our heads around free choice, we've got to look at it next to this other concept, destiny. Now for May, destiny wasn't some pre-written script for your life. Think of it more like the givens, the hand you're dealt, your biology, your environment, the fact that we all die someday. We don't choose any of that. But free choice, that's our power to respond to those givens. It's how we push against the boundaries and create meaning inside of them.
And this, right here, is the really optimistic core of May's whole message. He was convinced that most of us are living inside these self-imposed limits, totally unaware of how much freedom we actually have. The potential is right there. It's just waiting for us to unlock it.
Okay, but here's the catch, and it's a big one. This isn't some feel-good, self-help slogan. Embracing real freedom is, well, it's terrifying. It means looking your limitations, your destiny, right in the eye. It takes a ton of courage. And yeah, it's going to stir up some serious anxiety. Choosing freedom means choosing to be uncomfortable. It's no joke.
All right, so if choice is the big turning point, what's in our toolkit? What do we need to actually use it well? That brings us to freedom's inseparable partner, responsibility. I love this formula. It's so simple and so direct. For May, a choice without action is just a wish, right? It's a daydream. It's only when we act on a choice that it becomes real. And in that exact moment, bam, we become responsible for whatever happens next.
So May laid out a few rules of the game for this relationship. The main idea is that freedom and responsibility are like two sides of the same coin. They have to be in balance. You can't have more of one than the other. And he said healthy people actually welcome both. But this last point, this is the real kicker. Even deciding to surrender your choice is a choice. You can't escape it. There's no getting out of being responsible.
All right, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds hard. It sounds scary and full of anxiety. So why on earth would anyone choose this path? Well, the answer is simple. Because the payoff is absolutely huge. It's nothing less than becoming uniquely you. So let's look at how this all shapes who we are across three key areas. First, when it comes to the past versus the future, May was all about teleology. That's just a fancy way of saying we're guided by our goals for the future, not just defined by our past. Second, group versus individual. For May, it's all about uniqueness. The specific string of choices we make is what carves out our unique personality. And finally, awareness. Every single time we make a free, courageous, conscious choice, our self-awareness gets a little bit stronger. So, what's the ultimate result of all this hard work? What's the prize at the end of the road? It's what May called a sharpened sense of being. Think of it like a heightened awareness, that feeling of being truly, vividly alive and present in your own life. That, for him, was the hallmark of psychological health.
And this quote really brings it all home. Ultimately, each of us is responsible for the choices we make, and those choices define each of us as a unique human being. It's not your circumstances, it's not your past, it's not even your destiny that defines you. It's the choices you make. That's the source of who you are.
So, this brings the whole thing right back to you, right now. The big question May leaves us with is a deeply personal one. It's not about yesterday, and it's not about tomorrow. It's about today. Knowing that your choices literally define you, what choice will you make?